And without further ado, I would now like to welcome our first keynote speaker, who's Russell Shorto. And in honor of celebrating Amsterdam's 705th anniversary, we're going to listen to a fascinating keynote on how the Dutch turned climate challenges into opportunities. Russell Shorto is author of the books Amsterdam, A History of the World's Most Liberal City and Taking Manhattan. He's also director of the New Amsterdam project at the New York Historical. Please welcome Russell Shorto. Russell, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, thank you. I wasn't expecting the music part. Good morning, everyone. Thank you all for being here. I'm happy to help start things off by orienting you in this remarkable city where we're gathered. I am doing so by talking to you a little bit about what I'm calling the Amsterdam Enigma. The Amsterdam Enigma is simply this. How is it possible that a city, this city, became powerful, became a world leader by organizing itself around a collective idea, the idea that we all work together to succeed, and at the same time, it was organized by powerful individuals who gained their power by focusing on themselves. So the enigma is, how did it manage to be both collectivist in thinking and strong individuals? And I'm going to give you a series of images here over the next few minutes, and I am going to start with an image that has nothing to do with the city of Amsterdam, with the city around us, and I want to know how many people recognize it. A few do. Who all is familiar with the movie Monty Python and the Holy Grail? Quite a few. Okay, good. That's more than I thought. Monty Python and the Holy Grail was very successful, very funny, because it spoofed the Middle Ages, and it was very accurate in depicting Europe in the Middle Ages. So, Europe in the Middle Ages was comprised of knights and castles, yes? So you had, economically speaking, it was oriented around the manor. The manor was an estate. It could be a very vast estate that was controlled by a strong individual, a knight, a nobleman. And above the nobleman, he got his power from the king, the church, and he in turn ruled all the people who worked on this manor. They might be farmers, peasants, they might be carpenters, wheelwrights, lawyers, all sorts of people. The striking thing about the manorial system, and it was very successful, it lasted for hundreds of years, was that it was a fixed system. So wherever you were born into, if you were the nobleman himself, if you were a peasant, if you were a carpenter, your children were going to occupy the same rung. And for hundreds of years in Europe, that's how society progressed. Here, things were different. They were different because of geography, because of climate, because the Netherlands is essentially a vast river delta where 3 of Europe's great rivers drain to the sea. It was difficult for people to settle in because the rivers would flood in the spring. This place, the Kromme Rijn, right in the middle of the country, in the year 1122, became famous later because the people there gathered together collectively to build dams and dikes to protect themselves from the sea. And when they did that, they set in motion this remarkable enterprise. So if you look at the country today, that looks like a natural landscape. In fact, the road is built on a dike. That dike allows for reclaiming land. The land on both sides is a polder. Polder is land reclaimed from the sea. Similarly here, the road and the houses are on the dike, the land that is built up, so that in fact, the land on the one side is lower than the water on the other. It's more evident in this slide. You can see the dike very clearly, and you can see that the water is actually higher than the land. So they created land. 40% of the terrain of the country today is land reclaimed from the sea. And what happened when they did that, when they had new land, they began dividing it up among people in the community. So contrasted with the Monty Python and the Holy Grail world, in this part of the world, you had land in which everybody owned a piece, and they began to do things with it. They grew flowers, they grew tulips, they developed a dairy industry and sold their cheese. And people became wealthy. And as they became wealthy, they realized they could make life better for their children than it had been for them. And that set this place apart from most of the rest of Europe. And that set in motion a cycle of innovations, a cycle of entrepreneurialism. So although if you're moving through the Dutch countryside, it may seem natural, it is a highly artificial, highly man-made landscape. Now, the process that I just talked about, we can now zoom in and show that process at work in Amsterdam. This is the River Amstel in about 1200 AD. You can see at the bottom there, a dam was built to protect, and then dikes along both sides of the river. The land is built up, and the houses are on top of those. And then on the sides, you dig trenches so the water can drain to them, and then you can begin to work the land. So 400 years later, this same landscape this is it. This is Dam Square. 400 years after that. And you can see there to the right in the background, you can see the masts of the ships. That is the river. 400 years later still, that same landscape, Dam Square today, or recently when the circus happened to be in town. And again, this is at Dam Square looking down what was the river. It's paved over, but the water is still there, toward Central Station, toward the open water. So again, this whole geography is built around this concept of controlling the water. The city in the 17th century, its famous golden age, developed very quickly, and you can see the red area here so the whole city was laid out in the early 1600s and planned around its medieval core. Then you can see the area in red is what had been developed at the time this map was made, and the white sections were soon to be developed. You can see the river coming down from the upper left, and then it curves down. I don't think I have a pointer on this. Is that a pointer? No. And then it curves right through the middle of the city, and right about in the middle of the city, you see that kind of white square. That's Dam Square, and that's where it was originally dammed. And then it goes out to the open water, and you see what is called the forest of masts they referred to in the 17th century. So by this time, this idea that we talked about in the Middle Ages, as it developed, by this time, it is developing into something very mighty indeed. It was done by individuals, strong individuals, who picked up on this collectivist idea, one of whom was a man named Dirk van Os, who emigrated to Amsterdam from Antwerp. And he and a group of people had an idea, one of these, part of this series of innovations that led to this economic miracle that was Amsterdam and the Netherlands at the time. And that was, companies had existed before this. Corporations had existed. Typically what you did is a group of people came, pooled their resources, put them together, and backed a venture, a voyage. So they sent their ships out, the ships went to a faraway place, they got whatever they were getting, they brought it home, they divided the spoils, the company dissolved. In 1602, thanks to Dirk van Os and others, a new concept of a corporation came into being. It would be permanent, so that you could then, anyone in the society, anyone in the city of Amsterdam could play a part in it. So you would buy what they called shares of stock, and in doing so, you were entering into this great economic enterprise of your society. Dirk van Os lived in a street in Amsterdam called the Nes. This is it today. And at his house in August of 1602, they announced that anyone could indeed come there and purchase a share of stock. That was the beginning of the VOC, the Dutch East India Company. This is one of those. This is the world's oldest share of stock. This one was from the chapter in the city of Hoorn, and this was the Amsterdam base of the Dutch East India Company. It's now part of the University of Amsterdam. And based on the success of the Dutch East India Company, the city begins to grow, the city of Amsterdam begins to grow, and several other innovations. So this idea of shares of stock and trading them takes off. Initially, that's done on the water, right about where Central Station is now, where people are trading them. Then they realize this idea of trading shares of stock is going to be around for a while. So they build the world's first stock exchange. This is it from the inside, and this is it from the outside. And the Dutch East India Company then simply exploited the entire world. Obviously, it made a great deal of money. It also exploited peoples. It set off the cycle of invasive species that we're still living with today. There were huge downsides to it as well. And it created the city that we know when you move through the center of Amsterdam today, the city of the elegant canal houses. Several other innovations that sprang from that time. The Dutch in Amsterdam became the center of publishing. Why publishing? Because books are a product, but when you bring the authors, bring books here, if you publish them, they are a product that are about ideas. So you're bringing everyone's ideas in as well. In the entire course of the 17th century, about 1/3 of all books published in the entire world were published in Amsterdam. This painting encompasses a couple of other innovations from that time. Dr. Tulp here, who was a doctor who was also mayor of Amsterdam, is showing anatomy, where other parts of Europe doing anatomical investigations of the human body were outlawed. Here it was lauded. And in fact, what he's doing is he's pulling on a tendon, and with his other hand, he's showing you what finger it moves. So this city was built around this kind of innovation. This is also an instance of innovation in the sense of painting. This is secular subject matter. Dr. Tulp himself commissioned Rembrandt to paint this portrait of him, one of these empowered individuals. Yet another innovation in Amsterdam at this period is the concept of home as an intimate interior space. In other parts of Europe at this time, a house might be, there might be several different families living there, might be an extended family, they might have boarders, people who are renting. Here in Amsterdam, those canal houses I showed you, they were meant for a man and his wife and their children. The idea of home as an intimate personal space really, in a sense, takes off here. Yet another innovation from this building in Amsterdam on the Haarlemmer Dike. Earlier, the East India Company was formed. About 20 years after that, the West India Company comes into being. And one of its outposts then becomes a little place on the island of Manhattan that they call New Amsterdam. This is it in 1664, and this is it today. This is the financial district of New York City, and these are exactly the same geography. So this is just one manifestation of the exporting of this concept of the Amsterdam enigma, that notion that strong individuals, empowered individuals can work together and form a collective society and recognize that their strength as individuals comes from the collective. It's maintaining that balance, maintaining that awareness that allows for the enigma of Amsterdam. This slide is the most important one. This is rare. You don't see many images like this of Amsterdam in the 17th century. What's happening here, the soil, the land of this city is very soft. How do you build an urban landscape on top of soft soil. So what they had to do was they imported enormously tall tree trunks from Scandinavia, and they had to drive piles, 20 or 30 or 40 piles for every canal house. And you had to do it with human labor. So each of these men is holding a rope, and together, they have to work together to hoist the rope, to hoist a huge iron block. And then together, in unison, they have to release and slowly pound each of these piles down into the soil to provide strong support for the house. So this, to me, is a marvelous metaphor of that collective enabling the building of homes for individuals, these strong, empowered individuals. And in doing so, they create this city today that continues to function as this enigma, and continues to function as, to me, a wonder of our time. This is the 750th anniversary of Amsterdam. It's also the 400th anniversary of the Dutch founding of New York. I write about both of these cities. And if you want more information, I encourage you to check my books. If you would like me to speak at a future event on either of these topics, please contact me. I wish you a very good conference and a good morning.
Thank you so much, man. Well done.